So we've been getting a lot of questions about diastasis rectus, which there's so many things that go into healing the diastasis rectus. I will make this video because I've been getting a lot of questions on which abdominal things to do, but proper alignment, proper movement of your whole core as a whole system, so your low back, your hips, your pelvic floor, your diaphragm, your abs are all an essential component of diastasis rectus. Your abs didn't split just because your abs are weak or just because you're not activating one correct muscle in your abdominals. It's like a foundational issue, like you have other problems that created that. Now, sometimes it can happen. It happens in 2 out of 3 pregnancies. So sometimes it's just going to happen anyways during pregnancy. So what you want to hear is how to kind of heal that with some of the abdominal stuff. So at home, you can use a flat sheet for this, but when you're first doing some of the contractions, if you have a gap, you can lay on your back in this hook line position with your knees up. Now, to activate your transverse abdominis, I'm pulling the tailbone up and in towards my belly button, and then kind of almost like zipping up like a tight pair of pants. So I'm feeling my back flatten when I did that. I can check that I'm doing that correctly. If I go, here's my hip bones, I go 1 inch in, 1 inch down. I should feel that pop like heavy into my fingers. Sometimes you'll feel it pop in on one side and not the other, and then just try to kind of narrow that in and get the contraction correct. Another thing, so if you do have a separation, what you want to do, you can do it with your hands. Often the biggest error though that I see patients do in the clinic is if you have a diastasis rectus, I'm putting this on both sides of the 6-pack muscle, but often patients want to squish this together. You're not like trying to squeeze your fat. We're trying to let the abdominal muscles come back together and heal. So I want to keep my hands actually fairly flat. So I'm grabbing the sides of them, but I'm kind of coming across, or I can cross my fingers. And then what I'm doing is that transverse abdominal contraction, and then I'm lifting my head. You can start to do a progression where you do a transverse abdominal contraction before I lift my head, then I lift my head, then I'm sliding my leg out, sliding my leg back in. If you use a paper plate at home, it's a lot easier on the floor too. You can also do marching, where you just do one leg at a time. So transverse abdominal contraction, lift the head, and then marching are progressions. This is the Sarman's method. And then you can do abdominal contraction and then the bridging as well. So we're just progressively making it harder. This thing with the flat fitted sheet, if you can't feel like you get your hands correctly, this works really well too, where you cross the sheet over and you're squeezing both sides. So I'm using the same side arm to pull away, and I'm lifting my head here. So again, what I'm trying to do is create pressure on each side of the rectus abdominis, because that's what we want to heal. We're trying to use the deeper core so that we're not straining and stressing the rectus abdominis more than it needs to be, because often it's so much better to retrain it properly. Like surgeries, unless you have a substantial one, you don't really need surgery. So unless it's a huge substantial gap, but try a couple of these things. It's slow, especially if you're an athlete, you're like, oh my god, bore me more, these exercises are killing me. They are slow, and it's not like a sweat breaker, but this is the proper things to do so that you can break a sweat. If you like running, if you like doing other things, if you like hiking, things that are going to keep your body comfortable, if you like being a mom and you just need to be able to do physical things, you need to be able to do this first. So the postpartum guide that's coming out as well, it goes really slow in the beginning, and people, I know we're going to get messages like, oh, boring, yawn, but the things that need to do to lay a good foundation need to be done first. So try a couple of these. Again, there's other things that go into diastasis rectus, like back strengthening, butt strength for your hips. So these are just a few of the abdominal things.